in the NFL. He held the ball for like 3.38 seconds on average every game this year. Didn't have a single game where his average was under 3 seconds. This game against the Steelers, 2.68 seconds average time to throw. So that means there were guys open for him to hit. And the Steelers, this zone defense, and it's been talked about a lot this week, but there were just quick throws, and when Caleb throws on time in rhythm, he can put it on them. And the Steelers, it's kind of been a theme of this year. The ball has gotten out unbelievably quickly against them all year long. They have to find a way to buy that pass rush up front a little bit more time.
Okay, so let's also continue to add with stats and Caleb Williams. I think what I saw to this game a couple different times, there's one right there. Play action, turning his back completely to the defense, turning around, not even a thought, and letting it fire, which means pre-snap, he knew what the hell he was supposed to do with the ball after he snapped it. So I think he's starting to understand defenses, but I think he's also starting to trust the system of like, hey, I'm allowed to turn my back completely to the defense and turn around and fire it. Here's Caleb Williams on play action, some stats from Hembo. In 2024, they did it 18% of the time, 56% under center, 10.4% sack rate, 28.4 QBR. In 2025, they're doing it 30% of the time, 86% of the time it's under center, obviously getting more comfortable with the exchange. 4.1% sack rate. He's getting it out on time as soon as he turns around, and 77 out of 100 QBR. So it's like play action was Jared Goff's weapon up in Detroit. All the other shit was just ready to go. Caleb's such like a creative player. Would he be able to buy into the robotic stuff, and would he be able to trust turning around completely to the defense, knowing that your brother is on the other team? It's like it feels like he's buying into all of it, Jage. Do you get that sense as well?
Yes, I agree. I think the one play, obviously the TJ strip sack in the end zone, like you got to find a way to get rid of that football. Now I know his arm was pinned and all of that, but you just can't take that in that situation. But yes, this offense, and with his ability, because there are times where Ben Johnson has the primary receiver schemed up and they don't get the coverage they thought they were going to get. So now he looks at 1, 2, 3, they're not there, and he goes Superman mode, and he is incredible at Superman mode. So finding the balance of when to go into Superman mode and when to stay within the parameters of the offense is key. Like Caleb gets me out of some fires sometimes because of what he's able to do. So the better they get at finding that simpatico balance, the better that they will be. And they have a chance to be real scary. And if you give them a full offseason to really get under each other's hood and see how they can make this thing hum as best as possible, it could be special.
The Bears might be the problem in the North for some time, you know, going forward. There's a chance that's the case. Let's stay.
They believe in themselves too. Like, I mean, they get in some of these games and like, You look at the score, you look at the situation, and the phrase that they've used, this isn't me, is same old Bears. And they said, we're not going to be the same old Bears. And very, very clearly, they are not the same old Bears. They believe in themselves.
You know what they are? They're the brand new Bears. Feels like the NFC North's got a lot of brand new teams. Now, there's one old-ass team taking on a potential brand new team to kick off Thanksgiving. Go ahead, Con Man.
Yeah, Jay, it's brand new Lions taking on the Packers at home tomorrow. First game to kick off the Thanksgiving slate. What do you expect out of that type of game? And do you have a good read on Green Bay or Detroit? A lot of people are saying, hey, Detroit, Ragnow, long in the tooth. But Foxy gave a nice little stat. They're still, second in the league in scoring. And then for Green Bay, everyone kind of expected the offense to kick into gear at some point, and we just haven't really seen it yet. But their defense with Michael Parsons is flying around. What do you expect to see tomorrow out of these two teams?
First of all, I've seen a lot of buzz about it, but I haven't looked in depth. Is this game a half hour later than it normally is?
Yes. We don't like it. We've been loud. Just know that we have been loud. It's scariest.
I just want to say, before we sign off, I am very thankful for you guys. I have a lot of fun doing this every week. Your fans are awesome. I really enjoy interacting with them. This is an opportunity every single week for me to come on here and just talk some ball and shoot the shit with the boys. I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm very thankful for all of you. I'm very thankful for everybody who gives me the opportunity to have a job in sports. Greatest job in the world. I'm unbelievably thankful. Be a friend, tell a friend something nice might change your life.
Wow. 30 seconds we got. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Just thank you, Jage, for the compliment. Jage.
I didn't know how much time was left. I did not know how much time was left.
Thank you for that.
I was getting kicked off.
That was very kind
of you. Had to say it.
Also, we found the photo, I believe, that you guys were referring to. So cool that in that moment you acknowledged that history was about to be made. Thank you so much for joining us every week. We're thankful for you, Jage. Thank you for everything you've done for us and for ball. You're the man. Be a friend, tell a friend something nice that might change their life.
Steelers Nation, gather around, because today we need to talk about something that shook the NFL landscape, something that made executives across the league raise their eyebrows, something that the national media tried to spin as a disaster for Pittsburgh, but that, when we dive deeper, reveals exactly why the Steelers are better positioned for the future than anyone wants to admit. This is Steelers Nation Wire, and what we're about to break down is the kind of story that separates the casual fans from the ones who truly understand how this organization operates. Let's get into it, because what Omar Khan did this offseason has ignited debate in every front office in the league, and the final result is actually stacking up in favor of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everybody remembers how chaotic the 2025 offseason felt from the outside. Every analyst, every insider, every podcast host kept repeating how much turnover the Pittsburgh roster was experiencing, especially on the offensive side of the ball. A brand new quarterback room, a reshaped wide receiver core, a commitment to rebuilding without calling it a rebuild. It was the kind of offseason that tests an organization's identity. And then came the move that lit up the league, trading George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys shortly after acquiring DK Metcalf from the Seattle Seahawks. At the time, many in Steelers Nation were furious. They wanted the fireworks. They wanted to see the vertical explosiveness of Pickens lined up with the physical dominance of Metcalf. Fans imagined mismatches, jump ball highlights, bully ball on the boundary. But the truth, the one insiders now admit behind closed doors, is that the Steelers were never going to get that version of Pickens consistently. The cracks had been there. The lateness to meetings, the lateness to practices, the attitude issues, even being late to games. And in Pittsburgh, where culture is everything, accountability is everything, and where Mike Tomlin has built an identity that values professionalism above raw talent, it was always going to be a matter of when, not if, the organization made a move. Pickens is talented. Nobody denies that. That is exactly why other executives are stunned by the low return the Steelers accepted. A third-round pick and a fifth in exchange for Pickens and a sixth. But here's what the national media never bothers to explain. Pickens' trade value around the league was dropping fast. The maturity concerns were real. The fact that he was entering the final year of his rookie deal scared teams off. And once word got out about his behavior behind the scenes, the leverage was gone. Jerry Jones pounced, because Jerry lives for these kinds of gambles. And yes, Pickens is having a career year in Dallas. Yes, he is putting up numbers that'll probably earn him a massive contract, over $30 million per season according to projections. But that doesn't change the reality that Pittsburgh got out at the exact right time. They avoided the locker room headaches, avoided investing long-term in a player who wasn't fully bought in, and pivoted toward structure, stability, and a redefined offensive identity. That is not a failure. That is clarity. That is discipline. That is the standard. And let's talk about that standard, because something the national media conveniently forgets is that Pittsburgh doesn't operate like other franchises. The Steelers are not desperate for outside validation. Pittsburgh builds their team based on fit, culture, and longevity, not just fantasy football numbers. Omar Khan didn't panic. He didn't cling to a player who was drifting further from the team's values. He made a calculated move that gives the Steelers flexibility in the 2026 draft, cap space to maneuver, and eliminates a distraction that could have derailed the locker room. And you know who sees this clearly? Coaches, scouts, executives who understand the long game. They may be disappointed that Khan didn't squeeze Dallas for a higher pick, but they are ignoring the reality Pittsburgh knew internally. Pickens was no longer the future in black and gold. And the Steelers didn't just trade him away, they replaced him with a bona fide elite weapon in DK Metcalf, a player known for his work ethic, his physicality, his competitiveness, and his ability to take over a game without taking over the locker room. What's even more important is this. The Steelers have a chance to reshape their offense around consistency and reliability rather than volatility. That matters. That wins games in December and January. That prevents collapses, controversies, and unnecessary drama. That is the blueprint that Pittsburgh has followed for decades. And when you pair a receiver like Metcalf with a young quarterback room that has been rebuilt from scratch, you create an environment where growth is possible. where leadership forms organically, and where the offense can finally evolve past the inconsistency and miscommunication that defined previous seasons. Let's also not ignore the long-term implications here. Pickens is about to become one of the highest-paid receivers in the league. Dallas might tag him, but he will want a massive long-term deal. Do the Steelers really want to dedicate $153 million over 5 years to a player who was late to meetings and practices, to a player whose maturity was constantly questioned inside the building? Pittsburgh has seen this story before. They know how it ends, and for once, instead of letting talent override culture, they made the tough call early. That is what winning organizations do. The truth is that this move sets the Steelers up to build smarter, deeper, and more cohesively. Not only does Pittsburgh gain assets, stability, and cultural alignment, but they also avoid being trapped in a financial commitment that could hurt the team's long-term roster flexibility. The Steelers are building something new, something sustainable, something rooted in discipline and structure. And everything we're hearing out of camp, out of practice, out of film rooms confirms that this team is tighter, more unified, and more focused than they were a year ago. So when people say that Omar Khan got swindled, remind them that the Steelers don't chase highlight reels, they chase championships. Remind them that culture eats talent when talent refuses to buy in. And remind them that Pittsburgh has built playoff teams for decades without ever needing to rely on one single diva receiver to define who they are. This franchise rises because the foundation is strong, and this move reinforced that foundation. Steelers Nation, let me know what you think. Was this the right move? Do you believe Omar Khan has a bigger plan set in motion? Drop your opinions in the comments, smash that like button if you love Steelers content, and make sure you subscribe so you never miss a breakdown, a reaction, or a deep dive into everything happening with the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is Steelers Nation Wire, and what we're about to break down is the kind of story that separates the casual fans from the ones who truly understand how this organization operates.